How did a young, unknown Corsican artillery officer, often outnumbered and consistently outfunded, manage to conquer nearly all of Europe and crown himself emperor? It was not due to superior technology, a larger economy, or a more powerful navy. It was accomplished through a revolutionary system of strategic thought and a playbook of battlefield tactics so audacious and effective they changed the nature of warfare forever. That commander was Napoleon Bonaparte, and his principles of speed, audacity, and psychological dominance are more relevant to today's entrepreneur than ever before. This book decodes that legendary playbook for you, the modern founder. It is a masterclass in applying Napoleonic strategies to achieve decisive market domination. You will learn to stop competing and start conquering. The Emperor's Gambit, Napoleonic Tactics for Modern Entrepreneurs, written and published by Success Attraction Formula. Chapter 1. Decoding Napoleon's Strategic Playbook. Imagine yourself as a young, unknown general on the eve of a great battle. You are dramatically outnumbered, your troops are exhausted, their uniforms are tattered, and your supply lines are stretched to the breaking point. Your opponents are the seasoned, wealthy, and powerful armies of established empires, confident in their superior numbers and resources. By every conventional metric, by every piece of data you could analyze, you are destined for a swift and certain defeat. Yet, within the private theater of your own mind, a completely different reality exists and is held with unshakable conviction. You see not insurmountable obstacles, but fleeting opportunities for glory. You see not a powerful, monolithic enemy, but a slow, lumbering, and overconfident giant waiting to be outmaneuvered and psychologically shattered. You possess a supreme, almost mystical confidence in your unique vision, your revolutionary methods, and your personal destiny. This was the powerful inner state of Napoleon Bonaparte before nearly every one of his stunning, continent-shaking early victories. The core problem in modern entrepreneurship is that most leaders, even those with brilliant and disruptive ideas, have lost this essential inner game. They become crushed by the sheer weight of data, paralyzed by an endless and exhausting analysis of risks, and deeply intimidated by the immense size and financial power of established competitors. Their inner boardroom, the very command center of their enterprise, is not a place of audacious certainty, but a chaotic arena of anxiety, doubt, and indecision. They make critical decisions from a defensive, fearful crouch, seeking to minimize potential loss rather than to achieve a spectacular, game-changing victory. They obsess over the physical and material aspects of the competitive battle, the funding rounds, the office space, the lines of code, the market share points, while ignoring the most critical element of all, the invisible yet all-powerful psychological and spiritual force of their own leadership. The solution is to deliberately and systematically cultivate the Napoleonic mindset, a powerful psychological framework that strategically prioritizes morale, audacity, and an unshakable belief in one's own vision above all else. This is not a call for reckless bravado or for ignoring facts. It is the adoption of a potent strategic weapon. It is the core understanding that the psychological state of the leader and their key team members is the single most important variable in any competitive endeavor. Napoleon's true genius was not just in his innovative tactical maneuvers on the battlefield, but in his profound and intuitive understanding of human nature and motivation. He knew that a smaller, faster, and more agile army, unified by a powerful belief in their cause and led by a commander with audacious goals, could break the will and shatter the confidence of a much larger, slower, and less inspired force. Adopting this mindset means you must stop seeing yourself as a small player begging for a seat at the table, and start seeing yourself as the dynamic gravitational center of your own universe, capable of shaping reality through sheer force of will, superior speed, and brilliant strategy. It is the essential foundational step to transforming your fledgling startup from a struggling platoon into a conquering grand army that commands the respect and fear of the entire industry. The first core principle of this powerful mindset is Napoleon's famous maxim, which should be engraved in the mind of every entrepreneur. In war, the moral is to the physical as 3 is to 1. For the modern leader, this translates to a simple, powerful truth. The morale, the belief, the psychological conviction, and the shared sense of purpose within your team are 3 times more important than your physical resources, like the amount of venture capital you have raised, the prestige of your office, or even the current feature set of your product. A small team with immense morale will consistently outperform a large, well-funded, but dispirited and cynical team. This works because high morale is a tangible strategic asset. It directly creates resilience, fuels creativity, and fosters a deep willingness among your team to go above and beyond what is required. A team that is deeply connected to its mission will view obstacles and setbacks not as proof of impending doom, but as exciting challenges to be overcome. A leader's most critical, non-delegable job is to serve as the chief morale officer. In practice, this means you must create systems of celebration. When a small startup lands its first significant paying customer, a Napoleonic leader understands this is a crucial moment. They don't just send a congratulatory email. They stop all work, gather the entire team, read the new customer's name aloud, and make it a moment of shared, visceral victory. It means relentlessly communicating the why behind the work. A CEO of a small educational software company could start every weekly all-hands meeting by sharing a powerful, 1-minute story from a teacher or student whose life was positively impacted by their tool. This practice constantly reinforces the moral dimension of the work, reminding the team that they are not just writing code or answering support tickets. They are part of a noble cause. This relentless focus on morale builds an unstoppable psychological momentum, a kind of spiritual armor that protects the company during the inevitable tough times. A common pitfall for leaders is to assume morale is a soft metric and to stop focusing on it when financial pressures mount. This is precisely when the focus should be doubled down, as high morale is the very thing that will generate the creative solutions needed to survive the crisis. The second principle is to embrace audacity as a primary strategic tool. Napoleon's entire career was a masterclass in the power of the bold, decisive, and unexpected move. L'audace, l'audace, toujours l'audace. Audacity, audacity, always audacity, was a core tenet of his operational philosophy. For the entrepreneur, this is not about taking foolish, reckless gambles. It is about making calculated, bold moves designed to seize the initiative, disrupt the market equilibrium, and shatter a competitor's psychological confidence. The cautious leader is always reacting to market conditions. The audacious leader forces the market to react to them. This works because markets, like armies, can be mentally paralyzed by a move that is so bold and unexpected it falls outside their realm of predictable possibilities. An audacious move allows a smaller player to achieve a disproportionately large impact, capturing the lion's share of attention and press coverage, while larger, more cautious competitors are still stuck in committee meetings, debating a response. A common pitfall is to confuse audacity with recklessness. Calculated audacity is based on an asymmetric bet where the potential upside of a bold move is vastly greater than the potential downside. In practice, this means a leader must cultivate the habit of asking, what is the boldest possible move we could make right now that, if it worked, would completely change the game? Let's consider a new, healthy beverage startup trying to compete in a market dominated by giants like Coca-Cola and Pepsi. The cautious, conventional strategy would be to quietly target a small niche market and hope to grow slowly under the radar. The audacious, Napoleonic strategy would be to launch a provocative, brilliantly witty, and visually stunning marketing campaign that directly and fearlessly calls out the unhealthy ingredients and manipulative marketing of their giant rivals. This move is undeniably risky. It will provoke a powerful response, but it is also the only way to get noticed. It is a powerful declaration that you are not content to merely pick up the scraps from the emperor's table, but that you intend to challenge the emperors themselves for the throne. Audacity is the engine of disruption and the entrepreneur's most potent form of leverage. The third and most esoteric, yet arguably most powerful, principle of the Napoleonic mindset is the cultivation of an unwavering belief in one's star or personal destiny. Napoleon possessed a profound, almost mystical sense of his own destiny. He truly believed he was a man of fate, guided and protected by a higher power. This unshakable inner conviction gave him a charismatic force and a resilience in the face of near-catastrophic setbacks that seemed superhuman to both his followers and his enemies. For the modern entrepreneur, this translates into cultivating an unshakable, almost irrational self-belief in the importance and the ultimate inevitability of your personal and corporate vision. This is not just egotism, it is a creative force. This works because this deep, authentic conviction is profoundly contagious. When a founder projects absolute certainty, it inspires a level of trust and rabid commitment in their first employees, their early investors, and their first customers that no polished slide deck or detailed business plan ever could. People are not just investing in an idea, they are drawn to and investing in the leader's powerful belief in that idea. In practice, this is about how a leader embodies their vision in moments of extreme pressure. Imagine a founder pitching their unproven startup to a room of skeptical, stone-faced venture capitalists. The revenue is nascent, the market is emergent. One of the VCs asks a brutal, pointed question designed to expose a key weakness in the business model. The founder who lacks this deep belief in their star will become defensive, flustered, or overly apologetic. Their body language will betray their inner doubt. The founder who is connected to this Napoleonic principle will meet the question with a calm smile. They will acknowledge the validity of the concern and then reframe it, saying with unwavering confidence, "That is a challenge we have anticipated, and here is our audacious three-part plan to turn that very issue into our greatest competitive advantage." They project an aura of calm inevitability. They are not asking for permission or approval. They are inviting the investors to join them on a thrilling journey to a destination they have already seen as a certainty in their own mind. This belief is the ultimate force multiplier, turning skepticism into curiosity, and curiosity into capital. Remember to subscribe to Success Attraction Formula, give this video a like, and comment with your personal opinions or suggestions for channel development. You have now decoded the inner psychology of the emperor, the mindset that fueled the conquest of a continent. You understand the power of morale, audacity, and unshakable self-belief. But a powerful mindset is useless without a brilliant strategy. How do you take this inner fire and translate it into a tangible, strategic advantage on the battlefield of the modern market before a single shot is fired? How do you choose the ground on which you will fight, ensuring you always have the upper hand? Chapter 2, Battlefield Positioning for Market Advantage. Imagine you are a general preparing your army for a decisive battle that will determine the fate of your entire campaign. Before you even begin to consider your tactics, formations, or how your troops will fight, you must answer a far more fundamental and critical question. Where will this battle be fought? Will you allow your larger, more powerful enemy to dictate the terms of engagement, luring you into a muddy, disadvantageous swamp of their choosing, where your unique strengths are nullified and their brute force can grind you into dust? Or will you, through superior foresight, intelligence, and maneuver, position your forces on high, solid, and defensible ground, with a clear view of the entire battlefield, forcing the enemy to exhaust their energy and resources in a difficult, predictable, uphill assault against your prepared position? Every great military commander in history has understood this truth. The choice of the battlefield often determines the victor before the first cannon is ever fired. The core problem for so many passionate and brilliant modern entrepreneurs is that they charge headfirst into the market with no strategic thought given to their initial positioning. They see a large, profitable market and decide to enter it by fighting on the exact same ground as the largest, most entrenched, and most powerful competitors. They choose to compete on price, on broad feature sets, or on massive advertising spend, all battlefields where the incumbent emperor has a massive, almost insurmountable advantage in resources and scale. They are, in effect, willingly marching their small, agile, and precious army into a swamp of the enemy's choosing, and then they express surprise when they get bogged down in brutal price wars, a desperate struggle for commoditized survival and eventual extinction. They have ceded the most critical strategic advantage of all, the choice of the ground on which the battle will be won. The solution is to become a master of Napoleon's most powerful and elegant strategic concept, the maneuver sur le derrière, which translates as the maneuver on the rear. While in military terms, this often meant a physical flanking attack, its deeper strategic meaning is about positioning your main force in such a way that it makes the enemy's primary strength irrelevant and directly threatens their greatest weakness or vulnerability. For the modern entrepreneur, this means strategically positioning your business, your product, and your brand in the market in a way that deliberately avoids a direct, head-on confrontation with your competitor's core strengths. Instead, you choose a unique, defensible position that leverages your own unique advantages and targets a point of extreme vulnerability or a significant unmet need that your larger rivals have overlooked or are structurally incapable of serving. It is about fundamentally changing the game from who has more resources to throw at the problem to who has the more intelligent and powerful position. This strategic approach to positioning is what allows a smaller, faster, and more nimble company to achieve a decisive, lasting advantage over a much larger but less flexible opponent. The first actionable step in applying this powerful strategy is to identify the decisive point of the market battlefield. In Napoleonic and subsequent military strategy, this is known as the Schwerpunkt, or the center of gravity. It is the single point in a complex system where a concentrated application of effort will produce the greatest possible, often cascading impact. In a business context, the decisive point is the single most critical factor for success that is currently being undervalued or underserved in your market. It might be a transcendent customer experience, an unprecedented speed of delivery, a very specific unmet need of a passionate niche demographic, or a breakthrough technological innovation that changes the rules of the game. Your job as the entrepreneurial general is to look beyond the obvious metrics and identify this point with absolute clarity. To do this, you must become a master of market intelligence. First, deeply analyze your competitors, not for the purpose of imitation, but to find their strategic blind spots. Read their one-star reviews with glee. What are their customers consistently complaining about? What promises does their marketing make that their product fails to deliver? Second, conduct deep, empathetic customer discovery. This means getting on the phone and talking to potential customers not about features, but about their frustrations, their goals, and the emotional workarounds they have cobbled together to solve a problem. Third, conduct an honest analysis of your own unique strengths as a founding team. What is the one thing you can do better than anyone else? Is it elegant design? Is it building passionate communities? Is it complex data analysis? The powerful intersection of your competitor's glaring weakness, your customer's deepest unmet need, and your own unique, authentic strength is the decisive point, your Schwerpunkt. For example, a new online bookstore startup simply cannot compete with Amazon on price or speed, Amazon's core strengths. But through deep analysis, they might discover that a growing segment of readers feels completely alienated by Amazon's impersonal, algorithm-driven experience. These readers crave a sense of community, expert curation, and the joy of discovery, a significant unmet need and a structural weakness of a massive, automated system. If the founding team's unique strength is in building vibrant online communities and they have a passion for literature, then human-powered, curated community experience becomes their decisive point. The second step is to occupy the high ground on that decisive point with overwhelming force. Once you have clearly identified your decisive point, your entire strategic focus must be on capturing and utterly dominating that specific position. This is your strategic high ground. Your goal is to become so legendarily superior on this one critical factor that you become the only logical, passionate choice for the specific customers who value it most. This requires a ruthless, almost obsessive focus. You must be willing to be merely average or even strategically deficient in other areas in order to be world-class in this one. This is how you build a powerful brand identity and secure your initial beachhead of fiercely loyal customers. To occupy the high ground, you must align every aspect of your business, your product, your messaging, your hiring, your operations, around your decisive point. For our entrepreneurial online bookstore, The Reading Room, this means their website would not be an endless, overwhelming catalog. It would be a beautifully designed, minimalist space featuring curated shelves from interesting authors, artists, and thinkers. Their primary feature would not be a search bar, but a vibrant ecosystem of niche book clubs moderated by passionate experts. Their marketing would not be driven by discounts, but by celebrating the intellectual joy of reading and the emotional connection of community. They must have the strategic discipline to accept that they will have a smaller selection and slower shipping than Amazon because they are not competing on those metrics. They are competing on curated community experience, and on that high ground, they are the undisputed emperor. They have brilliantly turned Amazon's greatest strength, its massive, impersonal scale, into a liability for the customers they choose to serve. The third step is to immediately establish a secure base of operations around your captured high ground. Once you have seized a superior position, you must immediately begin to fortify it, to build a deep and wide moat, as Warren Buffett would say, that makes it prohibitively difficult and costly for competitors, especially large ones, to attack your position. A secure base of operations is what transforms a clever tactical win into a sustainable, long-term business. There are several powerful ways to build this moat. The most potent is to create a powerful, self-reinforcing community. The Reading Room could do this by fostering their online book clubs with such care that they become vibrant, indispensable social hubs that customers are deeply integrated into and would be emotionally loath to leave. Another layer of the moat is to create unique intellectual property. Perhaps they develop a proprietary algorithm not for recommending books based on what's popular, but for connecting people based on the deeper themes and ideas within the books they read. A third layer is to build exclusive relationships and partnerships. They could secure deals with sought-after independent publishers or create exclusive video content with beloved authors that is only available to their members. The key is to create an interlocking system of value. A large competitor might be able to copy one of these elements, perhaps by launching their own book clubs. But it is vastly more difficult for a large, bureaucratic company to replicate the complex, authentic, and interconnected system of a passionate community, unique technology, and exclusive content, all executed with a purpose-driven soul. This secure base is what allows you to profit from your initial victory and provides the solid foundation from which you will launch your next campaign of expansion. Remember to subscribe to Success Attraction Formula, give this video a like, and comment with your personal opinions or suggestions for channel development. You have now mastered the art of strategic positioning. You have chosen your battlefield, occupied the high ground, and built a fortress around it. You have a superior position, but a strong position is useless without decisive action. How do you now maneuver your forces with such speed and surprise that you can outflank and overwhelm larger, more established rivals before they even realize what is happening? What are the Napoleonic tactics for turning strategic advantage into swift, decisive market victory? Chapter 3. Rapid Maneuver Tactics to Outflank Rivals. Speed is the ultimate, non-negotiable weapon in the arsenal of the modern entrepreneur. Imagine a vast, powerful, but slow-moving 19th century army, a lumbering beast of 1,000 supply wagons and rigid marching columns, inching its way ponderously across the European landscape. Now imagine a smaller, lighter, faster, and more agile force that can march twice as fast in a single day. A force that can appear on the enemy's vulnerable flank as if from thin air, strike a devastating and decisive blow at a critical point, and then vanish before the slow-moving giant can even organize an effective counterattack. This was the tactical essence of Napoleon's genius. He understood a fundamental law of competition. A smaller force moving with superior speed can consistently defeat a much larger force that is burdened by bureaucracy, slow and layered decision-making, and a rigid, predictable command structure. The modern business world is no different. Large, established corporations are often the slow-moving armies of today. They are immensely rich in resources, but are often paralyzed by endless committee meetings, shackled by legacy systems, and culturally terrified of risk. The entrepreneur, the startup, is the light infantry, born with the natural advantage of speed and agility. The The core problem is that most startups tragically fail to weaponize this advantage. They get bogged down in their own internal debates. They strive for a perfect and feature-complete product before launching anything into the market, and they allow fear and indecision to rob them of their single greatest competitive asset. They possess the innate agility of a cheetah, but choose to move with the cautious, plodding pace of a tortoise, thereby forfeiting their best chance at victory. The solution is to deliberately and consciously structure your entire organization, your culture, your processes, your teams, for lightning-fast maneuver and decisive execution. This is achieved by adopting the principles behind Napoleon's most revolutionary organizational innovation, the bataillon carré, or the battalion square. This was a flexible, modular army formation where his large army was divided into several self-sufficient, all-arms corps of about 20,000 to 30,000 men. Each corps, led by a trusted and empowered marshal, could operate independently for extended periods, march rapidly along different paths, engage the enemy, and hold its own until other corps could converge to deliver the final, crushing blow. This revolutionary structure allowed Napoleon's army to move with a speed, flexibility, and unpredictability that was both terrifying and completely incomprehensible to his more traditional, linear-thinking opponents. For the modern entrepreneur, adopting this model means rejecting the slow, hierarchical, top-down command structure of a traditional corporation and instead building a nimble, modular, and empowered organization that is optimized for speed, rapid learning, and decisive, decentralized action. The first principle for achieving this superior speed is the principle of speed over perfection. In any competitive market, a good plan executed with vigor and passion today is infinitely better than a perfect plan that is finally executed next week, after the window of opportunity has closed. The debilitating pursuit of perfection is often a sophisticated mask for a deep-seated fear of failure and judgment. It leads to endless product delays, missed market windows, and bloated, over-engineered products that are based on internal assumptions rather than real-world customer feedback. This principle works because the market itself is the ultimate source of truth and the most valuable intelligence. By launching quickly with a minimum viable product, MVP, you initiate the crucial feedback loop with actual paying customers at the earliest possible moment. You learn what they truly value, not what you think they value. This allows you to iterate, pivot, and improve with incredible speed, effectively turning your early customers into an extension of your product development team. A common pitfall here is to confuse viable with sloppy. An MVP is not a buggy, non-functional product. It is the smallest, simplest possible version of your product that successfully solves the single most critical problem for your target customer. In practice, this means embracing a launch and learn culture. A software startup, for example, must resist the powerful temptation to spend 2 years in stealth mode, building a product with 20 features. The Napoleonic approach is to identify the single most critical feature, build it cleanly and robustly in a matter of months, and launch it. The initial product may be imperfect. It may lack the polish of an incumbent's offering, but it is real, and it is in the market, generating priceless data and feedback while the perfectionist competitor is still debating font choices in a committee. The second principle is the principle of decentralized command. Napoleon's true genius as a commander of a large army was that he did not try to micromanage the battle from a distant headquarters. He was a master of delegation. He gave his marshals a crystal-clear strategic objective, what is known as the commander's intent, and then he gave them the full autonomy and resources to achieve that objective as they saw fit, based on the real-time, rapidly changing conditions on the ground. This profound level of trust and empowerment is what enabled the incredible speed and adaptability of his army. For the modern entrepreneurial leader, this means you must do 3 things. Hire the best possible people, give them a crystal-clear and inspiring vision of the goal, and then have the courage to get out of their way. This works because it eliminates the decision-making bottleneck that plagues almost every organization as it grows. If every significant decision has to travel up the chain of command for approval and then back down again for implementation, speed is impossible. Empowered, autonomous teams can make decisions and test hypotheses in parallel, dramatically increasing the entire organization's learning rate and speed of execution. In practice, this is often implemented using agile methodologies, such as the squad model. A company is broken down into small cross-functional teams, typically 6 to 8 people, each with end-to-end ownership over a specific feature, customer journey, or key metric. A squad might have a product manager, a designer, several engineers, and a data analyst. This team is given a clear, measurable mission, such as decrease customer onboarding time from 15 minutes to 3 minutes within the next quarter. They are then given the complete autonomy to brainstorm, build, test, and deploy their own solutions without needing multiple layers of bureaucratic approval. This fosters a deep sense of ownership, accountability, and pride that is profoundly motivating and is the structural secret to achieving enterprise-level speed. The third principle is the principle of concentration of force. Napoleon's armies were very often outnumbered in a campaign, but he very rarely lost a major battle. His secret was to use his army's superior speed and maneuverability to be stronger at the decisive point of contact. He would maneuver his fast-moving, autonomous corps with great rapidity to converge on a single vulnerable point in the enemy's line, achieving a temporary but overwhelming local superiority that would shatter the enemy formation and create a cascading collapse. For an entrepreneur whose startup is almost always out-resourced by larger competitors, this is the absolute key to achieving breakthrough results. You cannot do everything at once. You must use your agility and speed to concentrate all of your available, limited resources. Your marketing budget, your sales team's time, your engineering talent on a single critical objective for a short, intense period of time. This works because a concentrated, focused effort creates overwhelming and resonant momentum. A diffused effort, where your resources are spread thinly across a dozen different initiatives, creates weak, barely perceptible ripples. A concentrated sprint creates a tidal wave. In practice, this means choosing your battles with extreme, strategic care. A new consumer brand startup, for example, might identify that their decisive point for the upcoming quarter is to win over the influential community of TikTok creators in their niche. Instead of spreading their small marketing budget thinly across Google Ads, Facebook ads, and PR, they apply the principle of concentration of force. They focus 100% of their marketing budget, their creative team's energy, and their outreach efforts on this single objective for 1 month. They run a highly focused campaign of building relationships, sending personalized product packages, and creating a viral challenge tailored specifically for that platform. By concentrating their limited force, they achieve a level of market penetration and authentic endorsement within that key community that a diffused, long-term, and under-resourced effort never could have. This breakthrough gives them the critical beachhead of loyal, vocal customers they need to fund and launch their next focused campaign. Remember to subscribe to Success Attraction Formula, give this video a like, and comment with your personal opinions or suggestions for channel development. You have now learned to think like Napoleon, to position your enterprise for victory, and to maneuver with lightning speed. You have the tactics to outflank and overwhelm your rivals. But a fast-moving army, no matter how brilliant its general, is nothing without food, ammunition, and supplies. How does a fast-growing company fuel its rapid expansion without running out of cash? What are the Napoleonic strategies for securing your financial supply lines and ensuring your victorious army never starves? Chapter 4. Securing Supply Lines and Cash Flow. An army, as Napoleon famously declared, marches on its stomach. A brilliant general with an audacious strategy and a fast-moving, high-morale army is still doomed to certain defeat if his troops run out of food, ammunition, and supplies. The most glorious military campaign in history can be brought to a grinding, ignominious halt by a failure of logistics. The logistics of an army are its supply lines. The logistics of a business are its cash flow. The problem for so many promising entrepreneurs is that they fall deeply in love with their own brilliant maneuvers on the battlefield of the market, while completely neglecting the unglamorous but essential work of securing their own supply lines. They achieve some initial success, a great product launch, a surge of media attention, and fall into the deadly trap of premature scaling. They rapidly increase their burn rate, hiring expensive staff and launching massive marketing campaigns, believing that their initial momentum is unstoppable. They are, in effect, a conquering army making a deep, rapid advance into enemy territory, so confident in their own speed that they disastrously outrun their own supply wagons. When an unexpected market shift occurs or a funding round is delayed, they find themselves suddenly stranded, deep in hostile territory with no resources, and their once promising enterprise starves to death. This failure of logistics, this running out of cash, is one of the most common and tragic causes of startup failure. The solution is to adopt Napoleon's obsession with logistics and apply it to the financial management of your enterprise. While known for his battlefield audacity, Napoleon was also a meticulous master of supply. He understood that a secure and reliable supply line was the foundation upon which all bold maneuvers were built. For the modern entrepreneur, this means cultivating a profound respect for cash flow and building a disciplined financial strategy that ensures your company not only survives, but thrives. It is about learning to live off the land by generating early revenue, maintaining short and secure supply lines by managing your cash conversion cycle, and always keeping a strategic reserve for unforeseen opportunities and threats. This disciplined approach to your company's finances is not a hindrance to your audacity. It is the very thing that enables it. It provides the solid, stable foundation that allows you to take calculated risks and wage a long, victorious campaign, confident that your army will always be well-fed and well-armed. The first strategic imperative is to live off the land, by generating real revenue from actual customers as early as humanly possible. In the early stages of a campaign, Napoleon's fast-moving corps were experts at requisitioning supplies from the territory they occupied. They did not wait for slow-moving wagons to arrive from Paris. For a startup, this means prioritizing early customer revenue over the often seductive allure of venture capital. This works because acquiring paying customers, even a small number, does two critical things. First, it forces you to achieve product-market fit. You learn very quickly what people are actually willing to pay for, not just what they say they like in a focus group. This real-world feedback is infinitely more valuable than any investor's opinion. Second, it instills a powerful discipline of financial frugality and resourcefulness throughout your company culture. A company fueled by customer revenue learns to be efficient and customer-focused by necessity. In practice, this means shifting the focus from creating a perfect pitch deck to creating a paying pilot program. Let's consider a startup developing a new B2B software platform. The conventional path is to spend 6 months building a prototype and trying to raise a large seed round from investors. The Napoleonic path is different. The founders identify 3 ideal potential customers and approach them not with a request for investment, but with a proposal. We are building a new platform to solve this specific problem. We believe it can create immense value for you. We want to build it with you. We will give you a massive discount and a high level of customization if you will sign on as a paying pilot partner. By securing these first paying customers, they get immediate cash flow, invaluable feedback to build a product that the market actually wants, and powerful testimonials that will make future fundraising, if still needed, infinitely easier. They are living off the fertile land of the market, not waiting for a supply convoy from Silicon Valley. The second strategic imperative is to maintain short and secure supply lines by actively managing your cash conversion cycle. An army's supply line is the time it takes for resources to get from the homeland to the front lines. A business's cash conversion cycle is, simply put, the time it takes to convert your investments in inventory and resources into cash in the bank. A long, insecure supply line is a critical vulnerability. A long, negative cash conversion cycle is equally so. Your goal as the entrepreneurial general is to make this cycle as short as possible, or even negative. This means getting paid by your customers as quickly as possible, while taking as long as honorably possible to pay your suppliers. This works because a well-managed cash conversion cycle means your customers and suppliers are effectively financing your growth. When you get cash upfront from customers before you have to pay for the resources needed to serve them, you have a powerful, self-sustaining cash machine that fuels your expansion without requiring external capital. In practice, this requires a disciplined focus on your company's financial operations. For a software company, this might mean strategically shifting its pricing model. Instead of offering a standard monthly subscription with net 30 invoicing, they could offer a significant discount, perhaps 15 to 20%, for customers who pay for an entire year up front. This single change can dramatically improve the company's cash position, providing a lump sum of capital that can be immediately reinvested in growth. For an e-commerce brand, this might mean skillfully negotiating payment terms with its manufacturers, perhaps moving from paying 100% upfront to paying 50% upfront and 50% upon delivery, net 60. This allows the company to sell the goods and receive cash from customers before the final payment to the manufacturer is due. Mastering these financial logistics ensures your army always has the resources it needs to maneuver with speed. The third strategic imperative is to establish a strategic reserve, or a corporate war chest. In the heart of Napoleon's Grand Army was his Imperial Guard. These were his best, most loyal, and most battle-hardened troops. He almost never committed them to a battle. They were his strategic reserve, held back until the decisive moment of the battle, when deploying them would guarantee a crushing victory, or until a moment of extreme crisis, where they were the only force capable of preventing a total collapse. For an entrepreneur, your cash reserve is your Imperial Guard. It is a dedicated portion of your company's capital that is not touched for day-to-day operations. It is held in reserve for two purposes only: to allow you to survive a sudden, unexpected existential threat, like a pandemic or a major economic crisis, or to empower you to seize a rare, game-changing strategic opportunity. This works because a strong cash reserve provides immense psychological and strategic freedom. It allows you to make long-term decisions without being crippled by short-term cash flow fears. It makes you a more attractive partner and a more formidable competitor. When a market downturn occurs, your cash-poor rivals are forced into layoffs and desperate measures, while you can remain stable, focused, and even gain market share. In practice, this requires immense discipline. As a company becomes profitable, the temptation is to reinvest all profits back into growth. The wise, Napoleonic leader systematically moves a set percentage of those profits, perhaps 20 to 30%, into a separate, untouched war chest account. This is not money sitting idle. It is a powerful strategic asset in waiting. One day, a smaller, innovative competitor might run into financial trouble and be available for acquisition at a steep discount. A company with no war chest can only watch. A company with a strong strategic reserve can acquire the competitor, absorbing their technology and talent in a single decisive move that reshapes the entire market landscape. Remember to subscribe to Success Attraction Formula, give this video a like, and comment with your personal opinions or suggestions for channel development. Your army is now well-fed, well-armed, and financially secure. You have the resources to wage a long and victorious campaign. But even Napoleon knew that one army, no matter how brilliant, could be overwhelmed by the combined forces of multiple enemies. How do you strategically multiply your own force without multiplying your costs? What was Napoleon's secret to turning former enemies and neutral states into powerful allies and building a coalition that could dominate a continent? Chapter 5: Coalition Building and Strategic Alliances. After his early victories, Napoleon did not just rule by conquest alone. He became a master diplomat and a prolific builder of coalitions. He understood that direct control over every territory was inefficient and unsustainable. Instead, he created a complex system of satellite kingdoms, client states, and strategic alliances, installing his family members and trusted marshals as rulers. This network of allies provided him with additional troops, resources, and strategic buffer zones, effectively allowing him to multiply his own force and influence across the entire continent. He was not just a general, he was the central hub of a powerful strategic ecosystem. The problem for many modern entrepreneurs is that they operate with a lone wolf mentality. They see the business world as a brutal, zero-sum game where every other company is a potential threat. They are either too distrustful and too proud to seek out partnerships, or when they do, they enter into weak, poorly structured alliances that end up draining more time and resources than they create. They try to do everything themselves, reinventing the wheel in areas outside their core competency, and ultimately limiting their own growth and market reach. They fail to realize that in today's interconnected world, the ability to build a powerful coalition is often a greater strategic advantage than having a slightly better product. The solution is to adopt the Napoleonic model of coalition building, viewing strategic alliances not as a sign of weakness, but as the ultimate form of leverage and force multiplication. This is about learning to identify and cultivate mutually beneficial relationships with other businesses, influencers, and organizations that can help you achieve your strategic objectives faster and more efficiently than you could on your own. A well-designed alliance can provide you with instant access to new markets, new technologies, new customers, and a level of credibility that would otherwise take years to build. For a startup trying to compete with industry giants, a powerful coalition is not just a growth tactic. It is a vital survival strategy that allows you to punch far above your weight class. The first alliance protocol is to ally with partners who share a common enemy. Napoleon's most stable and effective alliances were often with smaller German or Italian states who, like him, feared the overwhelming power of the great ancient empires of Austria, Prussia, or Russia. This shared threat created a powerful and authentic alignment of interests that went far deeper than any temporary treaty. For the modern entrepreneur, the equivalent is to seek out and form partnerships with other businesses that share a common, larger competitor. This creates a natural us-against-the-world dynamic that fosters deep collaboration and mutual support. This works because a shared, formidable competitor provides a clear and compelling reason for the alliance to exist. It focuses the efforts of both parties on a single, external target, minimizing the potential for internal squabbles and misalignment. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, and a powerful strategic partner. In practice, this requires you to look at your market map, not just for competitors, but for potential allies. Let's consider two smaller B2B software companies. One, Engage CRM, has built a fantastic customer relationship management tool for small businesses. The other, Flowmail, has built a brilliant email marketing automation platform. Both companies find that their biggest obstacle to growth is the same, massive, all-in-one competitor, Salesforce. Instead of competing with each other for the same customers, they recognize their shared enemy. They form a deep strategic alliance. They create a seamless, one-click integration between their two products and go to market together with a bundled offer. Their joint marketing message is, why pay for the bloated, complex, and expensive Salesforce platform? Get the two best-of-breed tools, perfectly integrated, for a fraction of the price. By joining forces, they can now offer a more compelling solution and compete more effectively against the market giant than either could have alone. The second alliance protocol is to ensure a clear and mutually beneficial tributary flow of value. Napoleon's alliances were never one-sided. He provided his allies with military protection, political stability, and access to his empire's economic system. In return, his allies were expected to provide troops for his campaigns and resources for his treasury. This tributary system, while certainly self-serving, was clear and well-defined. A modern strategic alliance will fail quickly if one party feels it is giving significantly more than it is receiving. A sustainable partnership must be built on a foundation of clear, well-defined, and mutually beneficial exchange of value. This works because it removes ambiguity and prevents resentment from building up over time. It ensures both parties are motivated to contribute to the success of the alliance because they have a clear stake in the outcome. In practice, before any partnership is finalized, you must sit down and explicitly map out the give and the get for both sides. Let's look at a new direct-to-consumer startup selling artisanal skincare products. They want to partner with a prominent beauty influencer on Instagram, A weak alliance would be to just send her free products and hope for a mention. A strong Napoleonic alliance is structured. The startup's give is clearly defined. They will provide the influencer with a year's supply of products, a unique 15% discount code for her followers, and a 10% commission on every sale generated through that code. The influencer's get is also clearly defined. She will create 2 dedicated Instagram Reel videos and 4 story posts about the products over the next 2 months. This clear, contractual exchange of value ensures both parties are aligned and accountable, dramatically increasing the likelihood of a successful and profitable collaboration. The third alliance protocol is to always maintain your strategic autonomy. Napoleon was a master of building coalitions, but there was never any doubt about who was in command of the grand strategy. He never allowed his alliances, no matter how important, to dictate his core military or political objectives. He always remained the senior partner, the one with the ultimate vision. For an entrepreneur, this is a critical principle. You must enter into alliances from a position of strength and clarity about your own mission, and you must never cede control of your company's core vision, brand identity, or proprietary technology. This works because it protects your company from being derailed or diluted by a partner's shifting priorities or corporate culture. An alliance should be a tool that serves your grand strategy, not a distraction that becomes the strategy itself. It is crucial to collaborate without compromising your company's soul. In practice, this means being very clear in your partnership agreements. Imagine a promising fintech startup is offered a potentially lucrative distribution partnership with a large, old-fashioned bank. The bank wants to offer the startup's innovative app to its massive customer base. This is a huge opportunity, but the bank also wants to have input on the product roadmap and wants the app to be co-branded with the bank's dated logo. The Napoleonic entrepreneur recognizes this as a threat to their strategic autonomy. They negotiate the agreement skillfully. They agree to the distribution deal, but insist on a clause in the contract that explicitly states that the startup retains 100% control over its product development roadmap and that the app will retain its own distinct brand identity. They are happy to be partners, but they will not allow their fast-moving, innovative culture to be subsumed by the bank's slow, bureaucratic one. They secure the benefits of the alliance without surrendering their empire. Remember to subscribe to Success Attraction Formula, give this video a like, and comment with your personal opinions or suggestions for channel development. Your army is now a grand coalition, well-positioned, well-supplied, and feared throughout the land. You have the mindset, the strategy, and the alliances to build an empire. But history is littered with the ruins of empires that rose to astonishing heights with great speed and fell just as fast. What is the ultimate Napoleonic wisdom for sustaining power? How do you transform a brilliant and successful conquest into a lasting dynasty that can endure for generations? Chapter 6. Sustaining Empire through Scalable Execution. Imagine Napoleon at the height of his power, the undisputed emperor of the French, master of nearly all of continental Europe. He is no longer the scrappy underdog general, but the head of a vast, complex, and powerful empire. Now imagine him years later, exiled on the remote, windswept island of St. Helena, reflecting on how it all fell apart. His downfall was not a single, decisive battlefield loss. It was a slow erosion of the very principles that had propelled him to greatness. His audacity morphed into reckless overreach. His speed gave way to the logistical burdens of a sprawling empire, and his centralized command became a bottleneck that stifled the initiative of his subordinates. This raises the ultimate question for any successful entrepreneur. What separates a brilliant conqueror from a wise and lasting empire builder? The problem of success is often more dangerous than the problem of failure. Entrepreneurs who achieve their initial victory often become victims of their own success. The nimble, agile, and audacious startup slowly and insidiously transforms into a slow, bureaucratic, and complacent corporation. The founder, once a visionary general on the front lines, becomes an isolated emperor, disconnected from the market and their own team. The company culture, once a source of strength, corrodes under the weight of new policies and hierarchies. The business fails to adapt to new threats, not because it lacks resources, but because it has lost its soul. The solution, and the final strategic lesson of this playbook, is to consciously and deliberately shift your focus from the tactics of conquest to the wisdom of sustainability. It is about taking the core principles that fueled your rise and embedding them into scalable, repeatable systems that can sustain your empire long after your initial, fiery campaign is over. The greatest achievement of Napoleon's reign was not a battle, but the Napoleonic Code, a unified system of civil law that brought order, consistency, and stability to his empire, and whose influence endures to this day. To build a lasting enterprise, you, the entrepreneur, must create your own Napoleonic Code, a set of clear, scalable principles and processes that ensures the spirit of your successful startup can be preserved and replicated as you grow into a dominant market empire. These are the pillars that transform a temporary victory into a lasting dynasty. The first pillar of a lasting empire is to codify the rules of engagement by creating a scalable culture. In a 5-person startup, the founder's values and work ethic are transmitted by direct osmosis. In a 500-person company, that is impossible. If the rules of the game are not explicitly defined, a culture of confusion, politics, and mediocrity will emerge by default. Codifying your culture means taking the unspoken values, behaviors, and operating principles that made your early team successful and translating them into a clear, teachable playbook that can be used to hire, evaluate, and promote every member of your organization. This works because it allows your core vision and values to scale far beyond your personal direct influence. It creates a unified understanding of how we do things here, which enables consistent decision-making and preserves the soul of the company as it grows. In practice, this is one of the most valuable investments a leader can make. A famous modern example is Netflix's renowned Culture Deck. It is not a list of generic, feel-good values like integrity and respect. It is a specific, detailed, and sometimes tough-minded document that outlines the company's high-performance philosophy, its expectations around candor and accountability, and the specific behaviors that are rewarded or discouraged. By creating this document, the leadership team codified their unique winning formula, ensuring that every new employee who joins understands the high-stakes game they are expected to play. It is a modern Napoleonic code for corporate culture. The second pillar is to promote your marshals from within by systematically developing the next generation of leaders. Napoleon's empire was not run by him alone. It was managed by his marshals of the empire, men like Ney, Davout, and Lannes, most of whom had risen from humble beginnings through the ranks based on talent and loyalty. Napoleon was a master at identifying and cultivating leadership. A sustainable company cannot be dependent on a single charismatic founder. It must have a robust system for identifying high-potential individuals within its own ranks and deliberately developing them into future leaders. This works because it ensures a vital continuity of culture and institutional knowledge. An internal candidate already understands and embodies the company's divine design in a way that an external hired gun rarely can. Furthermore, a clear path for internal advancement is one of the most powerful motivators for your most ambitious and talented employees, dramatically improving retention. In practice, this requires a formal commitment from senior leadership. It means implementing a structured mentorship program where senior leaders are tasked with guiding high-potential junior employees. It means creating a clear leadership development track with specific training on management, strategy, and finance. And critically, it means adopting a firm policy of always looking for qualified internal candidates first for any new leadership position before searching externally. This sends a powerful message throughout the organization. This is a place where you can build a career, not just have a job. You are building your own loyal and highly effective officer corps. The third pillar is to always plan for the next campaign by fostering a culture of perpetual innovation. An empire that ceases to expand and adapt will inevitably begin to contract and decay. Napoleon, even at the height of his power, was always planning his next move, always anticipating the next threat or opportunity. A successful company that rests on its laurels is a company that is already dying. You must build a system that prevents complacency and ensures your organization remains hungry, paranoid, and forward-looking, even when you are the undisputed market leader. This works because it keeps the entire organization from developing the bureaucratic inertia that is the death of all great enterprises. It keeps the entrepreneurial, conquering spirit alive. In practice, this often means creating a protected space for innovation that is separate from the core business. A highly successful company could create an innovation lab or an R&D skunk works, a small autonomous team with its own dedicated budget and a single mission to develop disruptive new ideas that might even threaten or cannibalize the company's current cash cow products. This is the ultimate act of strategic foresight. It is a recognition that if you don't disrupt your own business, a competitor will. By building a system for self-disruption, you ensure that you are always at the forefront of the next wave of innovation, ready to lead the next campaign rather than being a victim of it. This is the final key to transforming a single, brilliant conquest into a lasting and resilient empire. True leadership is not just about winning the throne. It is about building a dynasty that can stand the test of time, a legacy measured not just in the profits it generated, but in the enduring value it created for the world. You have now completed the Emperor's Gambit. You have journeyed from the inner boardroom of the mind to the grand strategy of market positioning, from the tactics of rapid maneuver to the logistics of supply and the diplomacy of alliances, and finally to the wisdom of building a sustainable empire. This playbook has revealed that entrepreneurship at its highest level is a grand strategic game, governed not by chance, but by timeless principles of psychology, strategy, and unshakable will. The power to build your own empire is not a gift bestowed by venture capitalists or market conditions. It is a direct result of your courage to adopt and execute a superior playbook. You are the Napoleon of your own destiny. Thank you for taking this journey with us. Remember to like this video, leave a comment with your most valuable insight, and subscribe to Success Attraction Formula to continue your mastery of the game.